Thanks for joining me for Church Road Trips. Big secret comes at the end, so hang in there. The church with a secret. That's the phrase that kept echoing in my mind recently as I drove down Highway 111 in Tennessee and glanced up to the top of this hill in Rickman. High above the road, almost as if it were tucked into the sky, sat this church that I'd never visited before, but something about it caught my eye, and I didn't know their story yet. I didn't know the history. I just knew that there was something different up there, and I wanted to find out what it was. From the outside, Netherland Church of Christ looks peaceful, solid, steady, the kind of things you would expect out of a church, but it's there almost like it's been watching over this road and this little community for a long time. The brick of the outside, the white steeple, the clean lines of the architecture, it all feels very intentional and well cared for. It's the kind of place where people don't just attend, it's a place where they belong. Netherland Church of Christ began all the way back in 1917. Their first gatherings weren't in a sanctuary at all, but in an old school building. Later on, they built their first church building, a simple beginning for a congregation that would grow steadily over the next century. And as the years passed, new buildings rose to meet the new needs that came up, and in 2012, they completed the current building on Netherland Road. It's a clean, modern, beautifully maintained building, and it kind of reflects the care that they pour into everything they do. But they didn't leave their past behind. Instead, they moved their former church building, physically picked it up and moved it from where it was to its current location. And they set it on a new foundation beside the new sanctuary and gave it a second life as their fellowship building. Now, I'll have more to say about that later. It's a very special building. We'll talk about that later. But remember that. And we still have a secret to tell, and that's coming at the end. Inside the main building, you can really feel the heartbeat of this congregation. The sanctuary is warm and it's full of light. And even though it's empty here while I'm there, it seems like a place where every pew has a story. A place where the air above your head is still echoing a little bit with the sounds of the last sermon. A place where the last a cappella hymn can still be heard in 4-part harmony. As you can see, loving God and loving others is their theme, and that is reflected throughout the building. It's also reflected in the work that they do, and we'll have a lot to say about that in a moment. Now, as you can expect, Netherland has plenty of educational space, and my impression is that they're very organized and intentional in their teaching. Whether the class is made up of children, older students, or adults, their goal is to disseminate the Word of God in a prepared and meaningful way. Now, what about that old building they moved? Well, it's become something special. It's not just a place for meals and classes for the church, but it's a shelter, literally, for people in the community who need it. When storms knock out the power, when families need warmth or safety, the door's open. No membership required, no questions asked, just neighbors helping neighbors. Now, right outside that fellowship building sits something small, but mighty. This little handmade cabinet, I call it a mini food pantry, but it's stocked with canned goods, boxed meals, and whatever the church family can provide. And it's available to anyone, anytime. No permission, no explanations, just take what you need. It's simple, it's quiet, it's love in a wooden box. And you know what? This box tells you everything you need to know about this church. But remember, this is the church with a secret. Because tucked in, around, and behind the buildings, stretching across the hillside and venturing into the woods, is something I've never seen at a church before. Now, I've seen basketball goals, I've seen soccer fields, I've seen an occasional walking trail, and once I even saw a church with a swimming pool. But this church has a 9-hole disc golf course. Now, installed just a year or two ago, the course is free. It's open to the public 7 days a week, and the only caveat is a very simple request. Please don't play during church time on Sundays or on Wednesday nights. Now, other than that, the course is yours. Bring a disc, or if you're a serious disc golfer, bring 20. Bring your friends, bring your kids. Here's what the church is saying. They're saying, come play. Come enjoy our land. Come and share our little part of the community. And that is when it hit me. Because this is not just a church with a secret. This is a church with a purpose. As I walked the grounds and as I stepped inside the building, as I watched their videos and as I talked with my host Jerry, who's called this place home for years, one thing became clear. Netherland Church of Christ is serious about sharing Christ. They do it through their services and through many other ministries. But I also noticed that they take care of what God has given them. Their buildings, their land, and most importantly, their neighbors. You know, their parking lot becomes inundated with cars as they welcome everybody who comes to their annual car show. Their fellowship building becomes a shelter when storms roll in. Their mini food pantry becomes a lifeline for families who need a little help. Their disc golf course becomes a playground for people who may never step inside a sanctuary. What I'm saying is that their property becomes a gift to the community, not a possession to be guarded. And in a world where churches sometimes struggle to connect with younger generations, Netherland has found a way to speak their language. What they're saying is, come and play here. You're important to us. Our doors are open to you. You see, this is the love of Christ personified. This is a church that literally lives out its theme, loving God, loving others. And not just in sermons, not just on slogans they have plastered on the wall, but in the way that they use their land, their buildings, and their hearts. And maybe that's the real secret of Netherland Church of Christ. It's not the disc golf course itself, but the love of Christ that stands behind it.